Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna go ahead and get started in a little bit. We're just gonna wait a couple more minutes to give a little bit of time for those who are still joining, okay?
600 a year. Purity Plus, you could save up to that much by switching two unlimited lines from Big.
Minha vida muito boa. Mas tudo isso que eu consegui foi através de dedicação, perseverança.
Okay, thank you guys so much for joining us. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Today we're proud to have Alisson Toro-Lagos, all the way from Ohio. Allison brings a rare blend of knowledge in media and journalism, paired with her passion for sports. During this virtual event, she will be sharing her journey, including her networking with classmates from afar, transitioning from behind the camera to being in the forefront, and balancing her MBA courses while working a full-time job. I'm gonna give it to Allison so she can talk a little bit more about herself.
So, hi everyone. I'm Allison. So, originally, I'm from Concepcion, Chile. I migrated to the States in 2004, and I kind of lived all over the East Coast. So then when I was looking for colleges, I chose South Florida. So I got my undergrad from Barry University in television and digital media. And then from there, my last year of undergrad, I was pregnant with my daughter, so I kind of had to rearrange my life a little bit kind of fast and see which way I was going to go. And luckily, I was able to land a reporting job here in Cleveland, Ohio. And from there, I've been able to work on news pieces, sports pieces, of course. And for a long time, I kind of debated whether to get a master's degree or not. And then once FIU had one of these webinars, I was all on board for it because it kind of led right into my career. So far, I've been a journalist for 3 years. It'll be 4 years next year. And I just have the best time ever because I get to involve my academics and my personal career path with this program. And that's just a little bit about myself.
That's amazing. That sounds like a great journey. And obviously, we're gonna be talking about those struggles and those hills that you had to get through. So let's go ahead and get started. For those of you joining us, please make sure that you write your questions in the chat box. We have our colleague Ana Kaina that's also going to be addressing them. And then if you want to address your questions directly to Allison or me towards the end of the presentation, we're also going to do that. We're also going to go through the details of the program after the interview. So make sure that you guys stick around for that, okay? So starting off, how did coming from a background in media and broadcast journalism, what made you want to pivot into learning more of the business side of sports, and how did the professional MBA in sports management at FIU become something you wanted to pursue?
So the great thing about this program is that I talked a little about before that you're kind of combining both worlds into one. And then me being in sports, so I get to cover a lot of the professional leagues, so the NFL, the NBA, and the MLB. And a lot of times I'm having these interviews with a lot of the corporate people, a lot of the business people. And sometimes I would be kind of stuck on certain language that they would use because I wasn't too familiar with it or just how they would handle processes within athletes, such as when they were making a trade, how valuable, the trades were going to be with the players, reading more contracts with the athletes. So the program really helped me understand how all of that works, and I've been able to also make a lot of good connections with some of the front office staff from for the Cleveland Browns, for example. We're not good this season, but I've been able to network with them. I've been able to work with the Cavs on a lot of corporate things as well. And a lot of the time, the people who work in the front office staff, we share similar backgrounds because they also have master's degree in sports management. So this program definitely helps you really build on those relationships. And I've also been able to meet a lot of people who graduated from FIU as well, who are in the sports world. So it's kind of all leads back to South Florida and how we're able to take what we learn from there and apply it to our regular day jobs.
That's obviously such an amazing job, and the opportunity that you have to meet with these teams is something that we definitely want to touch on a little bit more. But first, why did you choose FIU? What made this program stand out? What made you make that final decision?
First and foremost, it's really affordable. So coming from someone who is out of state, when I looked at master's program in the state, they were way more expensive. The time for to get this master's degree, it was a lot longer than what FIU offers, because I know FIU offers, I think, 3 or 4 different time frames to get your master's. So those were like the main things that I looked for. And then FIU has these, type of webinars with people who are in the program or have experience with the program, and that kind of helped me land more of a firm decision where I wanted to go post grad.
That's great. And that's such a beautiful full circle moment. That's one of the things that help you make that decision. And now hopefully you'll be able to be part of that decision making for the people that are joining us today. So with that being said, what challenges, if any, did you face as an out-of-state student, as you mentioned?
Um, Not many. Sometimes I would say the time difference with the school in Real Madrid. Sometimes I would get kind of tripped up on it because the canvas that we use, the time kind of showed Spain time. So I had to readjust and remind myself like, no, this is like US time to make sure I would turn in assignments on time. So I would say the biggest challenge for me was just it wasn't a lot. It was just a minor thing. And then sometimes with being online and getting to know my classmates, maybe like the first week or so, we're all trying to join all of the group chats that we end up creating. But then it ends up working out in the long run.
That's great. So part of that is how did the flexibility of the virtual program fit into your life as a full-time sports journalist with the time difference, and how did you manage all of that?
Honestly, I keep a planner with me 24/7. So I'm able to write out either my month or 2 months ahead. I'm able to do that. That has helped a lot. And then too, with having this flexibility of being online, I've been able to knock out a few assignments if I'm at a Browns game or a Cavs game or a Cleveland Guardians game. So I get to squeeze in what I can like in between my schedule, which is also good. And I think too with being online, you could work from anywhere. And I think that's the biggest thing from this program.
So you feel like the coursework, the load of the assignments and all of that was manageable due to the flexibility.
Yes, it really was. I would usually try to get all of my assignments, unless they were group projects, with those took a little bit more time. But with my individual assignments, I used to get them done by Wednesday, and the assignments were due Sunday. So I always tried to get them out early, out the way. The load wasn't as bad as you would think since it's a grad program, but it was super manageable.
Well, that's great. And I know you mentioned that you yourself joined events like this. Which virtual networking event or which specific guest speaker made a lasting impression on you?
It was Ornella from FIFA. I think it was around May of last year when FIU hosted it. And that was really such an eye-opener because before even thinking about getting my master's, I was still like on the fence of should I not? And then with the webinar with her and the way she just spoke about the program, I was like, okay, this is something that I'm willing to go forward with. And it's with an amazing team, even though I'm a Barcelona fan. But it was a great opportunity, and I just felt like I had to take it.
That's great. And what other type of events were you able to join like that? And how did that have an impact on your decision too?
The biggest thing that also helps too to keep an eye out for events like that I would join is the Instagram pages that you guys have. I think that really also helps me too to kind of see like what's going on behind the scenes, what other alumni had to say about the program. And for example, one time covering an NBA playoff game, and I met someone that worked for FIU. So we were able to talk there, and I told her about the program, and it was just a lot of cool things of how, as I mentioned before, it all kind of ties back down to South Florida.
That's great. So with that, which skills gained during the program have you had the most immediate impact on your professional life? Like what specifically did you learn in the program that you've been able to use hands-on on your career?
So I wasn't a big math person before, so I definitely know how to use Excel a lot better now than by being in this program because you do use it a lot, but it's very understanding of how to use it. So I would say definitely Excel and just definitely how I've been able to change my language when I talk to people in the front office staff now. We're kind of able to connect a little more and honestly, I've been able to get a lot of more better stories from them too, since we kind of have both have a business background. So those were, I would say, the biggest things that was like a switch for me after this program and during this program.
Yeah, that's a big part, and I'm sure. Do you remember any of the names of the classes, perhaps, by any chance?
So it's marketing and communications, accounting one and two. It was a two-part, um, and then finance. And what were the other ones? They're kind of like all the same type of name, but they kind of all went into one.
Yeah, so that just goes to show that the classes that you took really did have an impact directly on your career, directly on the role that you were doing.
Yes.
That's great. So with that into consideration, how do you see this MBA influencing the next chapter of your career?
So I'm looking now at going to law school. So I'm kind of looking at different law schools all around. And honestly, a lot of my classmates too, they were lawyers and attorneys. So that kind of, I thought that was pretty surprising too. And they would tell me like, yeah, it's kind of best to get your master's first and then go to law school because it's a lot of, speaking of classes, I had a business law class and I learned a lot from that. I was able to read certain things that I didn't even know that was in the sports world as well. So that was really interesting as well, and just being able to tie a lot of things to real world situations, such as like certain players getting traded or reading their contracts a little bit better with these classes. And a lot of the readings too that the professors would give, it would relate to a lot of real world scenarios.
Perfect. That really is something that we're excited to see you through, and hopefully we can get you back after you're a lawyer and you've completed that path and come back full circle to this again. And then looking back, what's one piece of advice you'd give to yourself on day one of the program or to someone who is unsure of how it would fit into their career path?
So to me, the great thing about having a master's too, if you don't want to take it as far as maybe trying to become a and entertainment lawyer or anything like that, you can honestly do a lot with a master's degree. And most recently, I've been able to accept a position as a college professor starting next semester at a university here because of my master's degree. So I think that having a master's degree lets you be a lot more flexible than having just your bachelor's degree. So I think that if you're looking to pivot or just to have something else on your plate to kind of fall back on or explore more with, I think that's the best way to consider getting a master's degree, in my opinion.
That's amazing. And I love that you were able to take one program, one specific program, and do so much with it and branch out in so many ways in your career. And so with that, we're gonna go a little bit over the program details that we are talking about. So guys, feel free to, like I said, add your questions on the chat now or hold them till the end and we'll have an open question time, okay? So the name of the program is a professional MBA online with a specialization in sports management. Obviously, like Allison just mentioned, is designed for people that work full time. Um, so let's go ahead and dive in. So for those of you that don't know, this is a partnership between FIU and the Graduate University of Real Madrid. FIU is the fourth largest public university in the nation. We are very proud of our number 5 ranking for our online MBA and number 12 on our online master's in business programs. While the University of Real Madrid is a pioneer graduate school for sports programs around the world, they have more than 100 executives from the sports industry collaborating with the school, and they are the social media leader in the world. So these are two very strong, very powerful universities that decided to get together and create one amazing program for our students. So on the screen, you can see the list of the classes. You're going to see some of the ones that Allison was mentioning, like accounting, business law, sports marketing, and communications. The way that it works is that, as you can see, FIU provides the business classes, and the University of Real Madrid provides the sports management classes. Now you're going to see on the bottom of the Real Madrid school classes that you have that optional sports economics class, which is optional second degree option for an additional fee, which we're going to talk about a little bit more in the next couple of slides. Um, and then one of the things that we like to do, which is exactly what we're doing right now, we like to offer several opportunities to remove some of the distance between our online students and our in-person students. And some of these opportunities include professional development seminars, industry nights, in-person and virtual like this one, live sessions. We have an amazing support staff, and most importantly, the Business Career Management Center. This center becomes available to all students as soon as they're admitted into the program. And this center helps you from typing up your resume to preparing for interviews, preparing for applications for jobs. It's a great tool for all of our students, and we really encourage everyone to use it. Um, so with that second class that I mentioned, it is included what we call the Real Madrid experience. This is an amazing 2-week networking event in Madrid. On the first week, you guys take master classes at the university by executives in the sports industry. The people that you see listed on the screen have been previous invites from the team that have been able to join them. You have Emilio Butragueño, who is the institutional relations for Real Madrid Soccer Club. You have Julian Piwowar, who is the head of innovation. You have Tony Nadal, who is the former coach of Rafa Nadal. You have Sergio Garcia, who is a professional golfer. Fernando Alonso, the F1 driver. And these are just, like I said, some of the people that have gone and have had the chance to speak to our students in the past during this event. And then during the second week, you guys visit the main sports venues in Madrid, including taking special master classes at those venues. You always go to the Santiago Bernabéu Stadium, which is amazing. You also visit some of these examples of Ciudad de la Raqueta, Wissing Center, Circuito de Jarama, and then, like I said, also taking master classes at each of these venues and really getting that behind the scenes of how the sports industry works. Some of the professional alumni that we like to highlight here, you're gonna see how Allison was just mentioning everything that she was able to do with and after the program. You're gonna see here Brandon Ernest, who was the coordinator, entertainment, and event operator for the Miami Dolphins before he graduated, and after receiving his degree, he was able to move into director of player relations for the PGA Tour. You have Michael Wright, who was a team attendant for the Heat, and then after graduating, he was able to become an account executive for the Inter Miami. You also have Amelia Varela, who was a head coach for a Florida Power softball organization and was able to become a director of operations for the softball team for FIU. And these are just some examples of the people of what people like you that at one point were just considering this program, what they were able to get through and achieve by completing the program and by uptaking everything that they learned and applying it, just how Allison was saying that she did. So the program is fully online. We have our most upcoming start date in January. Aside from that, we also have start terms in May, August, and October. There is more than enough time to apply. The total tuition cost is 42,000, but this does exclude that extra class, which would bring up the total to 45,000. I always say it's like a buy one, get one free. If you do that, there's no reason not to do it. For 45,000, you get 2 degrees. Like Allison said, that is a great market rate price. There's really no other place that you can get 2 MBAs for the price of one. So that's a great highlight. As far as the admission requirements, so the most basic requirement is to have already achieved or being on your last term at the moment of applying. For your bachelor's degree, we will request official transcripts from all previously attended institutions. We will also request a resume demonstrating at least 2 years of professional work experience. This doesn't necessarily have to be in sports or in business, just any work experience. Make sure that you add it there. And most importantly, make sure that you include the months and years for all the positions listed. We will also require a statement of purpose. You can see some prompts available on the screen, but just essentially a 1 to 2 page essay establishing why do you want to pursue this program? Why should FIU and the University of Real Madrid want you to pursue this program? And that is really the main ones. And then we do approach our admissions in a holistic approach. So on a case-by-case basis, we may request a GMAT or GRE. If we're not able to waive it, we may request interviews with our admissions committee and English proficiency tests based on the country that you graduated from. So aside from that, I know financial aid is oftentimes something that we highly take into consideration when applying for master's programs. Here at the FIU Chapman Graduate School of Business, we do have our very own financial aid department that is dedicated to providing our students with all the resources and information possible. Right now, we do have a scholarship available for those students starting in our January start term. That's the $5,000 Academic Affair Program scholarship. And there are some university-wide scholarship opportunities too. But most importantly, most of you will qualify for federal aid, and this will give you more than enough in loans. You will be granted at least $10,000 per semester, and this is more than enough to cover tuition for both universities, including the additional class if you wish to pursue that. As we go through the program and the admissions process, you will also be receiving constant communication regarding anything that is financial aid related. So the next step for you guys is to apply. I hope that this was able to cover some, if not all of your questions regarding the details of the program. However, feel free to take down my contact information and we're gonna open it now. To any questions, feel free to either unmute yourselves or add them on the chat. Well, if they don't have questions, I have more questions for Allison. What was your favorite part of the program?
Honestly, my favorite part was being having my like guidance counselor. He was able to register me for all my classes. So I think that was like the best thing ever. Because I remember with undergrad, you had to go register and then you had to wait. So I think that was honestly the best part, how smooth sailing it is. And then the other thing too, just being able to connect with some of my professors, especially with some in Spain. Beforehand, I didn't really use LinkedIn a lot. And then after the fact, I was able to really use it and then really connect with my professors and even some people that were alumni of both schools. And then we've been able to connect through LinkedIn. And sometimes when they come here to Cleveland for any sort of professional game, we're also able to meet up and talk about a few different things. So I think that was probably like my favorite part of just how smooth sailing it was with everything.
Um, that's great, and that is one of the amazing things about graduate programs that you have that close relationship with our student experience staff. And they're an amazing team. And let's see, because we have some question. Fabio is asking, which were your most difficulties in this like course? I'm guessing he's asking which class was most difficult.
I would say my last class, which was my finance class, it was the second one. It was the one to get your second degree. That one was a little more difficult. There's just only because there's a lot more math and using Excel to like its full purpose. So that one was probably the most difficult, but it wasn't bad. I still passed with a really good grade.
That's great. That's great. And then we have Daniel asking, were the classes all mostly pre-recorded or were there some live classes that you needed to attend?
So the classes, they were all live, which is really good in my opinion, instead of having them pre-recorded. And you didn't have to attend. It was recommended for you to go because you were able to understand the coursework a little bit better. But I think the best part about it was live.
So you had the option to meet live with the professor and then they were able to explain the terms. And then if you weren't able to join, then it was recorded and posted.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay, that's great. And then we have Anna asking, what skills do you think developed the most during the program?
Honestly, my reading skills, I think that by a lot of my assignments that, you do have to read and really understand it, I think that's what really helped me the most to understand, especially when it came to certain just business terms about contracts, especially. So definitely my reading skills.
That's very unexpected, but that's an amazing highlight of how it's not just directed to the classes or the profession, it's just life.
Yeah.
And then let's see, we have Tim asking, how often do you travel in between your classes in terms of mileage and days you'll be working? I guess how was the traveling and the meeting with the teams and all that during your classes?
Um, so the good thing about some of the classes, like the when they were live, it was in late afternoon, so either by then games like wouldn't start yet or I was kind of like done for the day. So it was pretty easy on that part. And then some days when I would have to travel, I would either just watch the pre-recording or I was able to reach out to my professor and kind of get an explanation if I knew that I was going to miss a one of the webinars. And then that's how I would be able to get my classwork done before like the week was over.
That's great. And then we have Amira asking, how does your sport management knowledge intersect with your job as a journalist?
So it helps me write my stories a lot better. So I work in for the Akron Beacon Journal. It's a print and like digital online, and I'm able to just write, but really explain like certain terms when it comes to, I know I say contracts a lot, but it's a kind of a lot with what I work with. So I'm kind of able to break it down for people who don't really understand. Because with journalism, it's really a lot of taking something really complex and making it sure that it's the most simple for someone who doesn't really understand it for them to read.
That's great. And then we have Daniel asking right now, also typically what time were the classes? So I know you said early evening. Let's also keep in mind that you were out of state. So I'm sure that that also had some benefits to it, I guess.
Yeah, so the times were either at 6, 7. I think the latest class I've had was 8 o'clock. And for the Real Madrid ones, they were around 5, sometimes 6. So it wasn't really too bad.
Okay, that's great. I don't see anything else here. Oh, we do. I love all these questions, guys. This is amazing. Which hard skills do you think we have to have for this program?
Definitely know how to ta manage your time really well because if you kind of wait last minute, you're gonna get very like all like clustered a little bit. So I would say definitely just having that times management, knowing how to pace yourself when it comes to work, or just being able to, if you have a question or anything like that, like having the time to reach to your professors as well, because you don't want to reach out to them last minute and then you can't turn in an assignment, or you turn in an assignment and it isn't to your best, ability. So
Yeah, that's something that really goes into, I feel like all master's programs, and that's just very
yeah.
important life and just professional educational skills that are needed to be able to succeed in any program and in any career. We also have Tim asking, generally in terms of journalism, do you write a lot of pre and post games or how does that work?
So yes, I do write a lot of pre and post game, and then I do also write a lot of features on athletes. So, like for example, last year when I was like in full blown of my first semester with my master's program, it was the game of when LeBron played with Bronny for the first time, and they were in Cleveland. So I was prepping for that day like a week beforehand, and then making sure that I was able to get my homework done and then get everything pre-written, so then it'll just be a smoother day for me when the day of the game came.
Yeah, that sounds like so very some very unique experiences. How was it to go through that? To have that opportunity to not only live it but to report on it.
Yeah, it was it's very shocking sometimes because you're kind of like I'm only 25, so sometimes I'm like this is something I wouldn't have expected of me in my career maybe like 3 years ago. So now like being able that I'm like in full blown and I'm able to also have these close relationships with the front office staff as well because they also help me out a lot. And sometimes they're able to tell me things before it even gets released out to the public. So that has also helped out as well, just because of everything that I've been able to do and work through.
That's great. I'm not sure if anyone has any other questions. If you do, feel free to stick around. But before we continue, thank you so much, Allison. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us here. We will be sending you guys, everyone, an email. That joined us today so that you guys can go ahead and apply without any sort of commitment as we'll waive that application fee. And then if you guys have any other questions or concerns and wish to address them with me directly, you can do so by email or we can schedule a one-on-one meeting via Zoom. With that being said, Fabio also has one more question. Do you think that this program opens doors to have an internship on some US sports clubs?
Yes. So, with Real Madrid especially, so I have a friend who got a master's degree from there, and he works now for the MLS team for Houston. So it's definitely it's open for anybody, but you definitely have to put the work in, of course. But I feel like since these are two programs that are really known worldwide, that also really helps out a lot when it comes to sticking out on resumes or when you're talking to someone and you tell them a little bit about your academic career path. It really does help a lot because they'll know that you're about your work and you're in a really good program.
That's that's amazing. And let me ask you, were you able to join the Real Madrid experience or in the for the 2 weeks in Madrid?
So I wasn't this year, but I do plan to go next year.
That's great. Yeah, I know that
Yeah,
that's
so I'm super
also
excited.
an amazing opportunity that they have exactly for that because I know that some students it's not possible to do it the year that they graduated on, and that's a great opportunity that they let you do it at whatever year it's most available to you. So I'm sure you're excited. I'm sure you're gonna have an amazing time. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much for your time and for your knowledge. And if there's any last words that you want to give to these prospects, to convince them or to guide them or whatever wisdom you have for them.
Mhm. I do also want to say thank you, to everybody who listened. My biggest thing is that don't be scared of getting a master's program because at one point I kind of was like that. I kind of felt like, what's the point of a master's? But it's definitely just a master's will definitely kind of boost you up in a little bit more when it comes to knowing academic things, when it comes to especially sports. And I would also say that, like I said, it's very affordable. So I think that there's a lot of different routes to go about it if people are considering FIU. And I'll share in the chat my Instagram. I wish I had my LinkedIn, but all of that is connected on my Instagram. So if anyone has any more questions, or wants to connect, I'm willing to help. I've been able to, when some of my classmates or some of my friends who are in Cleveland, I've been able to kind of help them too, like meet people or come to games and do things like that. So I'm always willing to help anyone who wants it.
Thank you so much. That is such an amazing offer, and I clearly invite everyone that's here to add her. Make sure that you guys use those networking opportunities because that's what this is for, to give you guys that those tools and those connections. Um, and that's an amazing offer, Allison. Thank you so much. And to answer Fabio's question, I believe she said the link for her LinkedIn is gonna be on her Instagram. So maybe you can find it there. Otherwise, I'm sure typing your name will with that it should pop up. Um, but if anything, if you guys have any other questions, any other concerns, like I said, we will be sending out that email. And I hope to be working with you guys soon. I hope to see your applications come in. Like I said, we do have an upcoming term now in January. We do have that scholarship. If Allison didn't convince you, I don't know what will. I'm sorry. That's such a perfect firsthand example of how what this program does, what this program gets you. So once again, thank you so much, Allison, and thank you all for joining us tonight.
Yes, thank you so much again. And then one more thing I just remembered. If you're like me and kind of want to get things like done and quick out the way, I was able to do this with both the masters in like 14 months. So it's very manageable and quick too. But it's a good thing.
That's great. Thank you so much. Yeah, the program is 14 months, like you said, for two masters. So I'm not doing it because I'm not a fan of sports, but it's otherwise it would be the program that I would go for.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so thank you. And if anyone has any questions or wants to chat a little bit more, feel free to stick around.